time for another Adventures of the Lopez Boys. It was November 14th, a very special day for the Lopez boys, because it was one of their birthdays. Grayson's birthday.
I'm 7.
The afternoon arrived, and Grayson's party had started. Mama was particularly excited because she knew she got Grayson a really cool surprise. And she knew that Dean would also love the surprise. And she told Grayson, Grayson, I got a surprise for you, sweetie. And she went and opened the front door and started pulling something very large and heavy into the house. Grayson, Dean, and Daddy all looked at each other really confused because Mama had just pulled in a casket. Mama smiled really big, which was kind of creepy because it was a casket, and then turned off the lights. And then from under the table in the living room, she flipped on a light switch which cast an eerie glow. And then, bong, bong, Undertaker's music began to play. The top of the coffin started to shake. And then it slid back. Up out of the coffin arose an enormous figure. Mama turned on the lights and said, "Surprise!" But it wasn't the Undertaker. It was Kane. Kane stepped out and looked at the boys and said, "I'm here for the Lopez boys." And Mom said, "Hey, wait! I paid good money to have the Undertaker here! What are you doing here?" Undertaker scooped up Mama and tossed her in the closet in the downstairs bathroom and shut the door. And then Daddy stood up and said, "Excuse me, Mr. Undertaker, but you can't do that to my wife. Mr. Kane, you can't do that to my wife." And Kane said, "Oh no," and gave Daddy a boot to the stomach, scooped him up, and tossed him outside. Then Kane turned, raised his hands up high, dropped them down, and every candle and light fixture in the house shot flames out.
Fire!
Yes, fire. And Kane said, "You're in my world now, Lopez boys." Grayson and Dean screamed and ran upstairs. They threw open the door to their bedroom and quickly slammed it behind them. And Grayson and Dean looked at each other. "What are we going to do? What are we going to do? The lock's on the other side. We forgot. We chose the wrong room. We can't even lock this door." And they heard the thump, 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 the steps of the giant Kane making his way up the stairs towards the boys' bedroom. Dean and Grayson looked at each other, almost ready to break into tears, when they heard a voice behind them saying, "Don't worry, boys. when I'm through with Cain, he'll rest in peace. Grayson and Dean slowly turned around to see the Undertaker. Just then, bam! The door burst open and in barged Cain. But Cain stopped quick because his eyes looked up from the boys and saw the Undertaker. The Undertaker jumped up and gave a drop kick right into Cain's chest. Cain fell back, knocking over the Christmas tree that's been up for over a year. Tumbled to the ground. Then Cain followed outside. Grayson and Dean also rushed outside. And they looked, and Undertaker was picking Cain up by his hair, grabbed his arm, twisted it. Then he climbed up onto the railing upstairs, walked across the top. Dean and Grayson looked at each other and yelled, "Old school!" The Undertaker jumped off and hit Cain right on the elbow. Cain bent over in pain. Undertaker didn't give him a second to look. He quickly dropped to his knees and gave him a quick chop to the throat. Cain shot up, straight up, grabbing his neck. Undertaker quickly grabbed him by the throat, threw his arm over his shoulder, and then chokeslammed him over the railing down to the first floor. Grayson and Dean quickly ran over to the railing, hopped up, and looked over. Cain was still wiggling around. And so the boys looked over at Undertaker and said, "It didn't finish him! It didn't finish him!" Undertaker said, "Not yet. One more move." So the Undertaker walked downstairs, stood over Cain's head, tilted his head down, and slowly removed his hat. And when he looked up, his eyes were pure white. And he said, "Cain, rest in peace." And then he ran his thumb across his neck, bent over, picked up Cain, threw him over his shoulder, slid him down with his head between his legs, and Undertaker dropped to his knees, dropping Cain on his head in the tombstone pile driver. And then the Undertaker looked at the boys and said, "It's over." Scooped Cain up, threw him in the casket, and drug him out the door. What? He didn't pin him because he was taking him away. It's not a match. Closed him in the casket and took him out the door. Dean and Grayson looked at each other, said, "That was awesome!" At that moment, Mom came bursting out of the closet door. "What was that noise? What was that? All that noise? Are you kids okay?" Grayson said, "We're good, Mama. That was the best birthday present ever. A wrestling match in our house." Mom said, "That's not what I planned." And Dad came running in the door. "Kids, are you okay? Are you okay?"
So you get to sound normal.
Dean Grayson said, "Yeah, that was awesome." Daddy looked at Mama and said, "That was a little overboard, don't you think, honey?" The